You are all aware of the ongoing face-off orchestrated by the Nigerian police force over the just concluded recruitment of qualified Nigerians as constables into the Nigerian police force. So we call on the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to immediately relieve the IGP Kayode Gbetokun of his appointment as IGP for the following reasons. The allegations of fraud, several other unwholesome acts leveled against the Police Service Commission and its staff are, to say the least, unfounded, spurious, speculative, and most irresponsible, especially by the way the allegations were thrown into the public space even before official channel of communication for dealing with such a matter was explored.
Welcome back to the program, and you just heard that very important soundbite. You know, it goes without saying, the policing institution is a very important one in any democratic dispensation, as it is that organization that helps to maintain civil rule. But time and again, particularly in the last decade plus, there's been an age-long rivalry between the Police Service Commission and the police force over whose duty it is to supervise or regulate the recruitment of officers into the force. This time around, it seems something similar is emerging, with concerns raised by the Inspector General of Police over what he terms irregularities in the recruitment of constables into the force, a recruitment done by the Nigeria Police Service Commission. Now, joining us for insights and an understanding into what's playing out right now, we have Comrade Remi Ogundeji, the chairman, Nigeria Civil Service Union Police Service Commission Unit. Good morning and welcome, Comrade, to the program.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Comrade Ogundeji, by the way, joins us from our Abuja studio. I'm going to start by, for the sake of those who do not know, that this goes way beyond 2024. So I'm going to start by asking you to provide an insight into the age-long rivalry during which the PSC and the police force locks horns over whose duty it is to supervise and recruit constables into the force. And perhaps while doing that, you could also help us understand what really informs this disagreement between the two institutions that really should work cooperatively.
Okay, thank you so much. Going down the memory lane, the rivalry between the Police Service Commission and the Nigerian Police Force, which actually is a statutory body that is charged with the responsibility of appointing qualified Nigerians into the Nigerian Police Force. And we have always been working together, but sometimes in 2019, when we started recruitment of constables, Nigerians, qualified Nigerians as constables into Nigerian Police Force, towards the end of the exercise, Nigerian Police Force hijacked it towards the end of it, and before you knew it, they released the list of successful candidates as against what was actually been done by the Police Service Commission in conjunction with them. So let me give you a background of how we normally do this recruitment exercise. Of course, the recruitment exercise started by the approval of Mr. President to employ qualified Nigerians into Nigerian Police Force. Then it follows by the advert that is released by Police Service Commission. After the advert, we started with the screening of the applicants, shortlisted applicants. So while we are on the screening, there are two aspects of the screening. That is the physical screening and document screening. Police is in charge of doing the physical screening, while Police Service Commission is usually in charge of the documents. And afterwards, we go on to the exams. in 2019, it wasn't a CBT examinations that we did. So after the exams, they were supposed to proceed to medicals, and that was how the police hijacked the documents on the disguise of taking the documents to prepare themselves for the training colleges before the successful shortlisted candidates are admitted into the colleges. But before you knew it, they hijacked the process and they continued from that point till the end of the exercise. And that goes on till 2020 and 2021. So we had to go to court in that 2019. They were giving judgment at first at the Federal High Court. We proceeded to the appeal court. We were given judgment at the appeal court. Then the Supreme Court gave us judgment eventually last year, precisely July 11 last year. So that is where we are. Now, after the judgment, we had to commence the exercise again this year. And we started with them. We started, in fact, the advert we reeled out had the logo of police and the Police Service Commission. And because of some logistics problems that we had, we indeed had to use the platform of the police to commence the exercise. We did this exercise together, jointly, from the screening to the CBT. So it was after the CBT that we went for the medicals. So after the medicals, we got wind of the fact that the police was trying to smuggle more than 1,000 names into the list of successful candidates. Meanwhile, we now had to release the list of successful candidates via a cloud platform that is foolproof and cannot be easily hacked by hackers. So it was after we did that that the police now came out to say that we smuggled names of candidates who did not even apply, and Nigerians who did not even apply for the exercise at all. They started by calling us unprinted names. So we took exception to this, and we had to did a rejoinder via a press release, because it was a press release that was released by the first PRO, that is Miwa Adejobi, that we had to reply to. So after we replied to the press release, they came up with all sort of campaign of calumny against the process. So that is where we are.
All right, Comrade Ogundeji, let's put a few things in perspective, so that for the records and for the interest of the public, whose responsibility is the recruitment of police officers, for the records?
There is no doubt about the fact that it is the responsibility of Police Service Commission to recruit qualified Nigerians into the Nigerian Police Force. This is established in the statutory constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Precisely, paragraph 29. Paragraph 29, chapter 1. Paragraph 29, pardon me, please. Paragraph 29, third schedule of the Federal Constitution of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is established there that it is the function of the Police Service Commission to recruit qualified Nigerians into the Nigerian Police Force.
My apologies. I just wanted you to establish that, to ask the follow-up question to say, who has a final call? I know you mentioned the fact that we're aware of this thing, but I needed you to say it with your mouth. Who has a final call when it comes to the recruitment process? Because you say you did it together, and the police suspected some things and raised alarm, and all of these things we're now trying to manage and deal with. So who has the final call? Is it a collaborative call or PSC's call to now say, look at the people we finally recruited, you go and train them, or you do it together?
Of course, PSC has the final call, but the Police Service Commission has been magnanimous enough to include them in the recruitment process, because eventually they will be the one to train the qualified Nigerians that will recruit into the Nigerian police force. So, Police Service Commission has the final call, and that is established.
All right.
By the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Let's speak to some of the allegations. I may want you to take them.
Establishment Act of Police Service Commission of 2001.
Okay. My apologies. I didn't know you were still talking. So let's deal with some of the allegations. They raised 4 allegations. They said names that were not even people that didn't apply were found on the list. Then some people that failed CBT were also found on the list. They said there are people that made it to the final stage of the exercise but were medically unfit, were found on the list. And also allegations of financial dealings and corrupt practices. They say you recruited unqualified. The words are unqualified and untrainable. Maybe you speak to all of these allegations.
Well, these are spurious allegations. They are very untrue. We started this exercise together early this year. They were in charge of the screening aspect, the physical screening aspect, while we took charge of the document aspect. After the screening exercise, we went further to the CBT. After CBT, the results were released by JAMB. And you know that JAMB is one of the, if not the most respected agency in Nigeria that set exams, that set CBT exams. So after the CBT exams, as if Dr. Solomon Arasi, that was recently unceremoniously removed by Mr. President, knew what was going to happen. He compiled the list of those who sat for the exams and those who passed in a compendium, gave one to the IGP and retained the other. So how is it possible that the same Police Service Commission will now impute the names of unqualified candidates into the list of successful candidates? How is it possible that when we have a compendium of those who actually wrote and passed the exams, we will now impute those ones who did not write and pass the exams? Meanwhile, they have not, those who even went for medicals have not entered into the training schools. How did the management of the police got wind of the fact that those who did not even went for medicals are those that are shortlisted as a successful candidate? All these allegations are spurious and fallacious, and they have no basis whatsoever.
Right.
And that money exchange ants.
Right.
You see, there is this Yoruba adage that the meaning is this: somebody who would convert an inheritance that doesn't belong to him will tell all sorts of baseless stories, and that is what the IGP has done.
So who then imputed names that were not, names that had not gone through the process? Because it looks like you are now accusing the police of imputing names. Is that correct?
Yes, it's an authority. We got wind of this information from a very credible and reliable source that they are going to impute. In fact, they had already impute 1,000 names of those who neither applied nor sat for exams of the medicals into the list of successful candidates.
All right. So obviously, we have two sides now. Someone is not telling the truth, or is not telling the full picture, not giving us the full picture. It's either the police at this point, and we're going to narrow it down. It's either the police or the Police Service Commission. The police had released a statement which you referenced on June the 15th, and they have said that all they have to say is in that statement, which we have referenced time and again. You said that the police is in charge of physicals. And the Police Service Commission is in charge of documentation, the CBT, and the rest. But my concern here is, while all of this bickering back and forth is ongoing, there's a real challenge of insecurity. We don't have enough men on ground. We don't have enough boots on the ground. So we could really use those 10,000 right now. So what is the fate of the 10,000 as we speak? The names that you put up, are they now able to start work, or is still in limbo as we speak right now?
You see, unfortunately, the IGP already has a lot on his table, but he refuses to confront the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. His core function as the Inspector General of Police is to detect and prevent crime, to maintain law and order, and to protect lives and properties of the citizens of Nigeria. But he's not doing that. He relegates that core function to the background and now pursuing the function of another statutory body of the Federal Executive Council of Nigeria, which is Police Service Commission. Police Service Commission, as I said earlier, is saddled with the responsibility of employing qualified Nigerians into the Nigerian police force. But instead for him to face his core function, his core duty, he is now running after another statutory.
The question I'm asking specifically, and I want us to speak to the issues now. My specific question is, what is the fate of those 10,000 recruits or prospective recruits? If you can hear me, comrade, what is their fate as we speak? Is that recruitment process on hold, or you are at the final phase where they can resume? Comrade, if you can hear me. Well, comrade, I'm trying to put a question across to you. If you can hear me, just 1 second. Let me put that question across again. Can you hear me now? Okay, so I'm saying my question specifically is about the issues. I want us to speak to the issues. So we, of course, come off this conversation with some sort of resolution. What is the fate of the 10,000 as we speak? Is the recruitment process on hold indefinitely? Does that mean it's still ongoing, so anytime soon they should resume and, follow the process? What is their fate right now?
Their faith is not hanging in the balance at all. As far as we are concerned as a responsible body, we are going on with this list of successful candidates. But you know that it is the responsibility of IGP to take them into the training schools. If the training schools are not ready, there is no way they can be taken into the training schools and be trained. So now, as far as we are concerned, the list of successful candidates as released on our portal, www.policeservicecommission.cloud, still stand. So, if the IGP is ready, he should let us know.
When do you expect them to resume?
Nigerians and the shortlisted candidates will know when they are to resume their training at the training schools.
Okay, I just want to quickly bring this in. So you say that all is done, you've prepared everything, so all eyes on the police. But the police obviously says, well, they don't have a hand in all of this because they've seen irregularities. So again, it comes back to the obvious limbo, which I speak about. Because if they're meant to absorb them and they're saying, we don't have a hand in this, we are seeing irregularities and we don't want people to now come back and blame us, we're not taking them in. But what is at the heart of this constant back and forth between the police and the Police Service Commission? Because I think this obviously affects the security situation in the country. So is this someone trying to wield power? Who is more powerful? Well, I've been in the force before you. The fact that you're IGP does not mean that you're more powerful than I am. What is at the heart? Or is it the financial aspect, who should get a bigger share of the cake? What exactly is it? Because it doesn't look like security of lives and property is a bone of contention here.
Of course, it doesn't have anything to do with the share of cake or whatever. We are not interested in that. As a responsible body, we are interested in securing the lives and properties of well-meaning Nigerians. And see, it is quite unfortunate that all these are playing out. We have had IGs that we worked with, if not until 2019, when IGP Adamu hijacked the process towards the end of it. We have been having a seamless recruitment process without any problem. But as far as we are concerned, it doesn't have anything to do with supremacy issue. What the IGP is all out to do is to usurp the powers that doesn't belong to him. And for you to know, it is very clear that what they are all out to do is to oppress the minorities in Nigeria. Let me give you a case in study. When IGP Adamu hijacked that process in 2019, the names he released from Nasarawa alone, that has just 13 local governments, is way above and more than what the entire Southeast got as qualified and shortlisted Nigerians as constables into the Nigerian police force. So, in all, I think Mr. President actually needs to address this issue. It needs to be called and talked to. Because how on earth would you be running after, would you be pursuing a mandate that doesn't belong to you, if not because you have ulterior motives?
The matter now, because some of the commentary at that time was that the powers that be wanted to dominate recruitment of the force to the extent that the predominant members of the force would be from the north. And what we're hearing now amid this recruitment exercise is that the powers that be want to dominate recruitment from the force such that members that will be recruited will be from the predominant southwest of the country, reflecting the current leadership. Is that part of the crux of the matter?
Pardon me, I couldn't get you clearly.
I was asking a quick follow-up, that is that part of the disagreement between the PSC and the police force? Because at that time in 2019 that you referred to, part of the commentary was that the powers that be wanted to dominate recruitment of the force with people that are predominantly from the north. And that is what is playing out right now with allegations that the current leadership wants to dominate recruitment of the force with people predominantly from the southwest. Is that it?
Well, it's almost looking like it. But as far as we are concerned, all what we are out to do is to maintain equality by recruiting 10 Nigerians, qualified Nigerians, in each of the 774 local governments into the Nigerian police force. But as we speak, I said it earlier that the IGP, Mr. Kayode, has tried to smuggle more than 1,000 names into the list of successful candidates. So your guess is as good as mine. If he's going to do that, definitely he is possibly going to do that from his own ethnic extraction.
All right. Just to quickly add that we also invited a representative of the police force such that we'll have a balanced conversation, and we hope that in the coming days they would oblige the invitation and present their own side of the story. Another quick follow-up to this. You said earlier that the former chairman of the PSC, Solomon Arasa, was removed unceremoniously. I'd like you to provide further insight to that, why you think he was removed unceremoniously, and if there are other issues, behind all of this disagreement that we do not know of. Specifically, does it have anything to do with, does his removal rather have anything to do with reports about investigations into his leadership that came up with allegations of illegal sale of land belonging to the Police Service Commission? I'd like you to speak to that.
Well, you see, you call a dog a bad name to hang it. The report or whatever corruption allegation of corruption, but has nothing. I say nothing to do with his unceremonious removal. What caused his unceremonious removal is this particular recruitment exercise that is ongoing. Let me give you a background to it. On the 4th of June this year, 2024, Police Service Commission released the list of successful candidates as constables to the Nigerian Police Force. And they were taken aback because they already had a hatched plan to release the list of successful candidates. So Commission went ahead to do that. So when we did that, immediately after, that was precisely on the 10th of June, they wrote to the Commission, Dr. Arase specifically, that they've got wind of the fact that names of candidates names of Nigerians who did not apply for the exercise were imputed into the successful candidates, and that those who did not even pass the CBT were part of it. People who even failed medicals were also part of it. So when they wrote that letter, they said they were objected to the list as released by the Commission. And before you knew it, the night of that day, IGP, former Inspector General of Police, Dr. Solomon Arase, was unceremoniously removed. And then as a follow-up again, they could not even wait to exhaust all channels of communication by waiting for the response to their letter before they now went on air to release that press release where they call Commission staff and the Commission all sort of unprintable names. So it is very clear that because of their plots that collapsed, that was why they now had to, because of their plots that collapsed, that was why they now had to go on air to say that Commission has smuggled into the list of successful candidates, people who did not even apply at all. So it is quite obvious, it is quite clear that
Comrade, if I may button, because of time,
leadership of the NPF are all out to remove unceremoniously the Dr. Solomon Arase, because
Comrade, if you can hear me, if I may button,
he is standing for the
Comrade.
truth. He is standing for the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by making sure that it is the Commission that take charge of the release of successful candidates.
All right. We want to thank you very much. Again, perhaps it's important for us to reiterate that we extended an invitation to the Nigeria Police Force to respond to some of these issues raised by the Police Service Commission. Comrade Remi Ogundeji, Chairman, Nigeria Civil Service Union, Police Service Commission Unit, thank you very much for your time on the program.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity.
Indeed, up next on the program now, we'll bring you the colors, the history, the evolution of that very beautiful and colorful festival from Ogun State, Nigeria, Ijebu-Ode to be precise. Let's have that conversation and see how we can better sell Nigeria to the world. Stay with us, we'll be right back.